Hey everybody, I'm State Central Committeeman Maurice West. I'm also State Representative of the 67th District.
And my name is Carter Elliott. I am the organizing director here in Illinois 17 for the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee.
And today we're really excited to be hosting Litesa Wallace for her own town hall on today. And so, Carter, if you're cool with it, I'm going to put you in the backstage, bring it to the front stage. We're good with that?
Sounds good.
All right. Dr. Wallace, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course.
Like we said in the email, today's all about you. The spotlight is on you. So I'm just going to pop in and out with the questions and let you go at it. Sounds good to you?
Sounds great. Thank you.
No problem. So what we're going to do is start with an opening statement, and you have 10 minutes to make that statement.
Wonderful. It is such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much, State Central Committeeman Maurice West and my representative, Maurice West. And thank you as well to the DCCC field director being here. I'm Litesa Wallace, and I'm running to be a new voice for a newly drawn 17th district. I'm the right person for the job because, like many people in our district, I know how it feels to lie awake at night trying to figure out how I was going to make ends meet for myself and my son. I am the daughter of two public sector union workers. My mother worked for the U.S. Postal Service, and my father worked in law enforcement. I'm also the proud mother of a young man who is about to launch and a former foster mom to a child that I still get to see on a regular basis. It is the history of my family and thinking of the future of those two boys that really drives so much of what I have done and what I want to continue to do. I worked extremely hard to become the first person in my family to graduate from a four-year institution, eventually earning a doctorate in educational psychology from Northern Illinois University, along with a graduate certificate in quantitative research. That, coupled with the last decade or more of my life volunteering and or being a candidate myself, or also being an elected official myself, are some of the things that I bring to the table as we get ready to bring real experience, a track record of getting things done, and a history of moving beyond rhetoric to actual action. That's what I'm going to be bringing to this particular race and to this seat. I served 3 terms in the Illinois House of Representatives, where I was vice chair of the Human Services Committee for the entire time I was there. I served on the Ag and Conservation Committee the entire time, went on to have enough seniority to develop my own committee known as the Economic Justice and Equity Committee. I even started or served on the very first version of Energy and Environment, known as Renewable Energies back then, with Chairwoman Ann Williams. I worked extremely hard to be able to pass dozens of bipartisan legislation that was signed by a governor that I often went toe to toe with. One of the biggest issues that I went toe to toe with that previous governor on was his stance on trying to turn our state to a right to work state. I was not going to allow that to happen. Again, as a person who grew up with parents and public sector unions, I understand how important it is and just what a good union paid job or a union job can do to bolster a family and lift them to the middle class. After my time in the General Assembly, I went on to work for the Community Action Agency for Winnebago and Boone counties, which is housed within the city of Rockford, working on issues to address affordable housing, access to early childhood education programs, energy efficiency, and energy assistance, and so many things in between. And then I had the opportunity to become an advocate in the energy space, where I helped to work toward ending energy poverty in a small community in the southeastern portion of our state, and also advocated for measures such as a greenhouse gas reduction plan and for a plan to capture methane which is 25 times more potent than CO2. I have a track record of getting things done, and I want to continue to be able to advocate for the families of the 17th District as we all work together so that we all are able to thrive. Again, thank you for this opportunity, and I'm so excited for this continued conversation.
Thank you so much, Litesa. We're going to go ahead and move towards our questions. We have 5 questions for you, where you'll have 3 minutes to answer each. First question is quite simple. What makes you the best candidate to keep this seat blue?
I'm the best candidate to keep this seat blue because I have a proven track record and I am a lifelong Democrat. You can look across the work that I've done as a young adult, an older adult, as a professional, and as a volunteer, and see that my passion for human services and for advocacy has led me to champion bold democratic values and issues, as well as some issues that were quite ahead of their time, were considered quite progressive or leftist during that time of my advocacy. I am the strongest person to go up against the presumptive Republican nominee because, again, not only do I have a track record of getting dozens of pieces of legislation done, I have a track record of thousands, tens of thousands of people voting for me, either as their state legislator, as a person who ran for delegate in the 2016 presidential cycle, and as a person who ran statewide in 2018. All of those, along with my core beliefs to make sure that we are fighting for living wages, the right to collectively bargain, reproductive justice, environmental justice, and so many other things that I have a record of championing, make me the strongest person to contrast and keep this seat blue in November.
Thank you for that. Our second question for you. What would your first 100 days in Congress look like?
Thank you. I think the first 100 days in Congress will look like, I guess it depends on what happens over this next cycle of Supreme Court decisions, which will be coming out in a matter of days or weeks. We will be looking to make sure that we're fighting to codify the right to have access to safe, legal abortion and reproductive health care. I will also continue to champion voting rights. It looks like we still may not have those pieces of legislation passed by the time the new Congress is sworn in. I want to get to work right away, hopefully serving on the Ag Committee and perhaps Education and Labor, so that I can continue to echo the voices of those in the 17th who want to see real change and real solutions to climate change, want to see real solutions to environmental injustice practices and injustices that are happening across our state. And I want to continue to champion lifting up the voices of those who are just living on the margins, making just enough to survive, but not enough to thrive. Of course, like any other new congressional member, I will be hoping to learn as much as possible from more senior members and getting to know the lay of the land. But I'm ready with a track record of being able to negotiate and advocate clear public policy to start day one.
Thank you so much for that. Our third question is quite long, but thankfully it's going to be on your screen. It reads, people are concerned about the economy, for example, inflation, the possibility of a recession, gas prices, supply chain issues, baby formula shortage. What are your main ideas to improve the economic health of our district?
Of course, families in the 17th district and across the country are worried about inflation, gas prices, the cost of food, and so many of the supply chain issues that we're hearing about, including the issues of making sure that our youngest and smallest, most vulnerable citizens have access to food. Um, I will be working as hard as I can to make sure that we are protecting the rights of workers. We've got to not only strengthen the rights to collectively bargain, but we have to strengthen and legitimize the care economy, which is an economy that continues to grow as our population ages and as so many people begin to have more babies. So we have care on both the spectrums of the human lifespan, and we've got to make sure that those industries are paid a living wage. We also need to be making sure that we invest in the green energy economy. This is an opportunity for high paying jobs, for individuals to be matched with employers once they have left some type of training, whether it is a 2-year degree, a certificate, or even going on to get a bachelor's degree. As we open up a whole new, as some call, green revolution in jobs, I will want to continue to champion investment. And the 17th district is primed for so many of those jobs, from the opportunities to manufacture electric vehicles in several parts of this district to the agriculture that can allow us to increase additional ethanol. It can allow us to increase space for solar panels and wind turbines. And we also have the opportunity to capture so much of what is leaving our landfills and our farms. So I will work hard on day one to make sure that we are bringing those types of investments back to the 17th district.
Thank you so much for that. Our next question for you: how would Congresswoman Cheri Bustos' work in office inform your own work, and how would you continue her legacy?
Thank you. Well, Congresswoman Cheri Bustos has served our district with both grace and grit, and survived one of the most terrifying historic incidents in our nation by being in the Capitol on the day of the insurrection on January 20th, 2021. We will work hard, and by we, I mean the residents of the 17th, as well as my future staff, to make sure that we are continuing the legacy of being able to work across the aisle, a legacy of being able to provide immaculate and wonderful and accessible constituent services. And one way that I plan to be able to do that is to adopt the model that she has, making sure that we have offices that are accessible throughout the district. Also, I will reinstate some of the measures that I did as a state legislator, which is making sure that we also had mobile office hours and hours during times that were flexible, whether it's a Saturday morning or a Friday evening. So many people don't work a simple so many people do work 9 to 5. And so our office has to be ready and able to meet with people and address their concerns even after 5 o'clock. So those are some of the things that I will continue to work toward. And again, I'm thankful for the service that Congresswoman Bustos has given this area for the last decade. And I hope to be able to incorporate some of the things that she's done and expand by integrating some of my own ideas.
Thank you for that. Our last question for you: name one accomplishment of yours that you are proud of that is currently benefiting our community.
One of the accomplishments that I am proud of that's benefiting more than my previous legislative district in Rockford, but also Peoria and Aurora, is the expansion of the River's Edge Historic Tax Credit. That tax credit expansion allowed for developers to continue projects that were already in the pipeline and were at risk of stalling or actually completely ending had we not passed that measure in late 2017. So many projects that you can look to in Rockford, Peoria, and Aurora, although Aurora is not in the district, have benefited from that piece of legislation. Right here in the 67th district, from the original tax credit passed by former Assistant Majority Leader Charles Jefferson. You can see the Prairie Street Brew House. And in that expansion, you can drive by and now see a beautiful downtown hotel, very similar to Peoria. New investments in the medical campus there, as well as other parts of the river's edge that have become centers for entertainment, healthcare, and just community engagement. So I would say one of the things I'm most proud of is that tax credit legislation that has benefited multiple parts of the district.
Thank you so much for answering the questions that we had for you. Now we're going to move on to your closing statement, and you have 5 minutes for that.
November will be one of the most consequential elections that we have ever faced. The 17th Congressional District of Illinois is in the center of what will impact the entire makeup of the U.S. House of Representatives. We are watching as so many of our rights are being rolled back throughout the country. We have a leaked Supreme Court ruling that will undo what has been known as settled law for almost 50 years. A piece of case law that is predicated upon the right to privacy, which will unfortunately be a slippery slope and hopefully not a precedent for the rights of so many other case laws to be rolled back. I am in this race and in this fight because I want to make sure that the people of our state, our district, our country have their constitutional rights enshrined and protected, and they need a Congress that will do that. Sending me to Congress will help us be able to stand strong and push back against an agenda that seeks to roll back those constitutional rights. We've got to put the strongest Democrat up against the presumptive Republican nominee in November. And there's no one with a track record quite like mine in this particular race. This is not about fundraising totals. This is not about slogans that offer no solutions. This is not about rhetoric without receipts. We need a person who is ready to go toe-to-toe with the Republican nominee from the moment that they win on June 28th. I am that individual. I will bring my entire self to this role, as I have for every role that I've ever played. And I will bring all of you in the 17th district along with me. I hope that you'll join me. I hope you will visit my website to sign up to volunteer and maybe even donate. I also hope that as we successfully move forward to victory, as we move forward to victory on June 28th, you will be ready on June 29th to make sure that the U.S. House is not flipped. Again, I'm Litesa Wallace, and I hope that I will earn your vote and your trust before June 28th. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Litesa Wallace. Litesa, thank you so much for being here with us, and best of luck between now and June 28th.
I appreciate this opportunity. Thank you.